Good morning, day 17. We're going to go to the next shelter, and hopefully we get a spot there. It's a big shelter that can fit 14, but probably more like 16 or 17 if we really squeeze. So it's raining, and for my Catholic hiker community friends out there, between Franklin and Gatlinburg, it's pretty hard to get to Mass. I mean, if you're awesomely fit at the beginning and have your hiker legs, then you can probably get from Franklin to Gatlinburg, no problem. But it's very hard in between. So what I have arranged is a shuttle to take me to Robinsonville, because the hostels aren't reliable about taking me to church, and the only churches near Robinsonville and Bryson City. And I contacted both priests, and one priest in Bryson City never followed back as of right now, and it's been like 6 days since I emailed him. He responded first, but then never did a follow-up. And then the one in Robinsonville said that his parish is pretty much too old to have it to help like anybody, and he said he's brought it up in the past and no one seems interested in it. So I take that as you will. I don't necessarily like it, or like, I would say, like, if I was in a nursing home, I wouldn't have a problem getting to Mass, but since I'm younger, I think I have a problem getting to Mass. This is one of the issues I have with kind of like this newer Mass. I would say, like I said, I'm pretty traditionalist. I usually attend the Latin Mass, and it's a younger crowd, so I'm just kind of rambling. I'm just really disappointed. In other words, I'm just really disappointed in the Catholic community between, actually Franklin too. No one was willing to take anybody in, and then Gatlinburg, there was, I don't know if I'll get to that church. I think I might just bypass this Gatlinburg and hit the next town, but let's just say I'm just kind of really disappointed in the Catholic community. Like, here we are, we're trying to get to Mass, we're going through suffering, and, even though this is a choice, I thought I would get more help from my own community, but like I said, I'm taking a shuttle into Robinsonville. I got a cabin at a local campground, and it's a 45-minute walk to Mass. And even though it's not it's not the most desirable, but it is doable. So for the Catholic hiking community, just letting you know. But anyway, good morning. Alright, this is future Morgan. I didn't close out because I was completely miserable last night. Everything's wet. So I guess this is my closing out video, but this is morning Morgan, the next day. So, but everything's wet, but we have a hostel tonight. Yay. So I'm going to have some real talk here. Yesterday I didn't film much because it was pouring down rain, and I was this close of quitting, but they always tell people don't quit on a bad day, and I'm glad I hadn't quit. It reminded me of my time when I was actually at Coast Guard boot camp. I almost quit then too, but I didn't. I'm glad I didn't, because I wouldn't have been married to my wonderful husband. But anyway, I'll tell the story of how I almost quit at boot camp. So they do this, like, I forgot what they call it, but it's physical labor / mental labor. So what they did was they closed all the doors because go to boot camp, and it becomes pretty much like a sweatshop. And you pass your bags, everything, put everything in your bag, in your duffel, I should say, and then you just pass it around, and then you just yell whatever they tell you to yell, and this goes on and on and on and on and on. Well, anyway, I hyperventilated, and I got transported to the clinic, and they asked me if I wanted to leave. They pretty much said, do you want to continue? And I told them, give me 5 minutes to decide. And they gave me 5 minutes, and I continued. I'm glad I did. But, yeah, that was, I literally couldn't breathe. I just hyperventilated. And so, but like I said, I almost quit there. But I just needed 5 minutes to really just decompress and why I was there and everything. Well, yesterday was one of those days. I was in my rain gear and I was completely soaked because your rain gear keeps you warm. But the thing is, since you're still hiking and you're warm, you sweat. But the sweat can't escape. So you're soaking wet in your own sweat in the rain. My clothes were completely soaked. It was cold. But it was just, I just felt completely gross. And we had literally, like I said in my video, it was a 7-mile climb to the shelter. But the day before, we knew it was going to be raining, so the day before I got on a waiting list at a hostel because I just knew it was going to be bad. I knew after the rain, Cindy and I would want a hostel. So when we got to the shelter, since it was only 7 miles, we started at like 7:45. We got there around 12:30, and we just stayed at the shelter. We could have hiked on, but I don't think we really would have. But we stayed at the shelter because the shelter was 14 person. It was a big shelter. So we just stayed there, and as soon as we got there, we changed into our sleeping clothes, some dry clothes, and I called the hostel we're at now, the something wolf shelter, not shelter, hostel. Anyways, so I called them. He said they were available. We had beds, and now we're here. And I'm just glad that we did that because after such a miserable day, at least we're here, we're doing our laundry, everything will be dry, and we can hike on. And since I'm trying to get to Mass, I have a cabin in Robinsonville tomorrow as well. Not that I need it because tomorrow's supposed to be nice, but like I said, I'm trying to get to church, so that was a necessary expense for me. But yeah, it was just absolutely miserable. But I'm just glad we got a hostel, and this one's super affordable. It's only $35, and then you have a full size bed. There's a kitchen access. He's willing to drive you in town. You can do laundry. And there's like a little convenience store literally walking distance down if you just want a few snacks and stuff like that. So for $35, it was worth our sanity and worth us not quitting, really. And Cindy was so cold last night. She couldn't have done another day without quitting if we didn't stay here. So, yeah, worth the $35. And I'm glad I called when I did to get on the waiting list for this hostel. But this video has gone way too long, but this is just real talk. It's hard. It's really hard. And people romanticize this trail. And I might have romanticized this trail a little bit in my videos, but I just wanted to be very clear that this is hard. It's mentally draining. And you're put out in the elements, and yeah, it's not for the faint of heart. It's really not for the faint of heart. You've got to want it. You've got to want to do this, because people quit at Neil's Gap, which is like mile 30, and Cindy and I are at like mile 150 today. We're at mile 150, so that's something. Anyways, I might do a tour of this hostel.